So, what is an inspired warrior? Certainly by the end of my talk, you'll discover what I mean by inspired warrior. The word inspired, if you look in a dictionary, would denote something along the lines of from spirit. So we're talking about spirit mixed with power. So before I go into my talk, I want to thank Sifu Loy for inviting me here to speak today. And I'm going to be sharing with you 7 universal principles for living a very successful life. Why? So that you can be more, have more, and achieve more. And I know within all of us, we have great potential already implanted within us. I've had the pleasure over the last 10 years to train over 100,000 people all over the world, in fact, over 26 countries, training them on how to improve their business, grow their business, anything from between 20% to 200% in just a few short months. Not only that, helping people to increase their wealth, become millionaires. I've helped people to publish their books, and I love doing that. That was me in Germany teaching people. I'm a published author of 3 different books. My second book, on the right-hand side, called The Inspired Warrior's Code, is the basis of my talk today. My books are bestsellers. One of them is a #1 international bestseller as well. But let me tell you, I'm telling you this just now because today people say to me, you're very successful, Mac. And I'm telling you about these successes because life wasn't always that way. I wasn't always financially very successful. I wasn't successful in life. In fact, not too long ago, I was totally broke with over £60,000 in debt. How I got into that situation, I don't know, but it was a mess which I had created. At that time of my life, my wife was pregnant with our second child. And I found myself working long hours, 80 hours a week, 90 hours a week, trying to make my little computer company work. Not seeing my first child, not seeing my wife, and we'd just been married very shortly. In fact, now today we've been married 18 years. 18 years this year would have been married. We have 3 children. But at the time when I was broke and life wasn't going so great, my relationship with my wife wasn't going so great, I was suffering internally. I came to a point when I thought, there is something I don't know. There's something I don't know. And I started to think, how do successful people, how do other successful people, wealthy people, live life? How do they create their successes? So I went onto a journey of self-discovery, a journey to learn how these people do it. I started reading books and for the very first time in my life, applying what I was learning. Started to attend seminars and workshops. And I came through a discovery that there is a pattern, there is a way. And every time that I've suffered something in my life, I always reverted back to the martial arts. I'm going to share with you a picture here. This is a picture of my very first martial arts instructor. His name is Mr. John Waite, Master John Waite. At the age of 13, after many years of being bullied at school, being picked on at school, being picked on in my local area, I was brought up in South London, a very rough area, being beaten up because I was the wrong skin color. This gentleman took me under his wings. And I love this gentleman dearly because he changed my life. He was also a school teacher, and he taught me, in our school, he taught me CDT, Craft Design Technology. And of all the subjects that were covered, that I studied, this is the class that I always excelled in, top marks. All the others, I wasn't that great at school. Why? Because I respected this man. Anything he asked me to do, I would do it. That was my martial arts upbringing. Later on, when I was broke and I was suffering in a different form of life, I'd come across this gentleman here. His name is Grandmaster Trevor Nichols. I've been training with him for over 18 years now. And with his training, I became a UK national champion. With his training, I've also gained a 5th Dan black belt. And so for me, martial arts has created a basis, a fundamental basis of living life. I've studied not only with martial arts instructors, I've also studied with other world-renowned teachers around mind, around health, around success. And in a moment, I'll break down to you how I choose to live my life now. And if it inspires you, great. And I'll break it down into what I call the Inspired Warrior's Way and 7 life principles that anybody can adapt and use as well. And I teach that to other people all around the world. Whenever I come across a martial arts instructor, I have deep respect. You know, Sifu Loy putting this on takes a lot of energy, tenacity to make it happen. I have respect for him as well. And I was recently in Arizona. I came across this 8th Dan black belt teacher who someone introduced me to, and I trained with him. And with martial arts practice comes a lot of discipline, a lot of thought, the way we do things, the way you approach people, the way we approach life, the courtesy, the integrity, the whole thing. So one of the biggest things I've realized around success is that there are 2 types of people typically that I come across. There are people who I believe have what we call the champion mindset, and the people who have what I call the victim mindset. And I'm sure when I say the victim mindset, you're thinking, I think I know what you're talking about. Or maybe you're thinking, what is that? Well, think about a champion. Any champion, whether it's in athletics, in sports, or business, or whatever, they somehow get the job done. They somehow do whatever it takes to get it done. Whereas the other people with the victim mentality typically use a language of, well, it's this person's fault. It's this person's fault. You know, I can't be blamed. It's not my fault. And they will make excuses. They'll justify their situation. They'll deny their situation and finger point at everyone apart from themselves. And so what I often say to the people I'm working with is, think like a champion. Be a champion. Because in that moment, what I've realized all champions do is they take 100% responsibility for everything that happens in their life. 100%. They don't blame, they don't justify. They see a situation and they say, okay, this is what I'm going to do about it, rather than I'm going to point at someone else who created that. And that's how you create real success in life. I'm going to break down the 7 universal life principles that I live by right now. And one of the key things is, I say you, but that's me. What does 168 stand for? 168 simply denotes the 168 hours that we all have every single week. Now, if you have 168 hours and I have 168 hours, why is it some people achieve so much in that time and other people complain about what they don't have? And I used to be one of those people who used to complain and negativity until I realized that that successful person is only the same as me. He's just making different choices in the time allotted to him or her. 168 hours. The other second principle is what I call relationships. And I'm going to break that down furthermore in a moment. We are all involved in relationships one way or another. The third principle is what I call exchange. We are all exchanging something for something else, and I'll break that down furthermore. Health. Without our health, we have nothing. One of the most important things is our environment. If you are in the wrong environment, you cannot flourish. Imagine you're with a group of friends and they are constantly negative, constantly bitching, constantly gossiping. What do you become? You become a gossiper, a bitcher, a complainer, a moaner. And whether you like it or not, your environment is greater than your willpower. Your environment is greater than your willpower. So if you want more success, you have to step out into a different environment and say, how can I flourish? How can I sow the seeds that will allow me to be who I want to be in the future? And then support. Anytime I've struggled and I've sought for support, I've looked for support, whether it's through a martial arts instructor, a mentor, or a coach, my life situation has changed. Now, with all the money I have lost in the past and all the millions that I make now, I realize that I could have never have done that just on my own. I need support of people, coaches, trainers. And so the most important thing out of all of this is that you can't do this in a silo. We must realize that we live in a world that we can't control. I call it the universe. Some people call God. Some people call Mother Earth. But the moment you think you are not connected to everybody else and to this world, the moment that's when I realize that people suffer because they believe that they can do everything on their own. I'm going to break this down first. I call this the 7 universal life success principles. Now, so what do I mean by relationships? Seems pretty obvious, but the first point is this: your personal relationship. So we all have personal relationships. So if you are married, you have a personal relationship. If you live at home with your parents, you have a personal relationship with your parents. So whenever you're attempting to do something, always bear in mind that you have to bring your personal relationships into it first. Many years ago, when I was trying to run my first business, I wasn't telling my wife what was going on. When I started suffering a little bit, I wasn't telling her. The moment I started sharing what was actually going on, then things started to sort itself out. So whatever decision you need to make, bring your personal relationships into it. Second thing is career. So what do I mean by career? Some of us run businesses. Some of us have jobs. But the fact is, we all have relationships with, whether it's a business, you have a relationship with your team, your staff. If you're working on your own, you have a relationship with suppliers. So nurturing good relationships is a great thing. Same as community. Every single month, I give away thousands of pounds away to good causes. Why? Because I know that I'm not on this planet on my own. And I know there are people who will need this charitable favor more than I do right now. And so I know community is very, very important. So these are kind of relationships that I often nurture. So, exchange. We are always exchanging these 3 things constantly. We're exchanging time. We're exchanging money. We're exchanging energy. Whenever someone asks you to get involved in something, you have to realize that what are you actually exchanging? So when someone asks me to come and speak at this event, what am I exchanging? Am I exchanging my time? But I want to do that because it imparts knowledge and it makes people wake up, become more aware, more conscious, and hopefully go out and do better things. This is why I love being here. You go out to work or you're doing your business, you're exchanging time for money. So exchange is so important in the sense that if somebody asks you to get involved in something, realize, actually, what am I giving up here? But when I give this up, what am I getting in exchange? And the third area, as you all know, without this, we don't have anything. Without health, we don't have anything. Because once the health is gone, that is it. If you've ever spent any time with anybody, maybe in a hospital, who is about to leave this planet, you'll know what I'm talking about. The words that come out of their mouth, the words that they say, is nothing to do with money or working hard. The kind of words they say is, did I really live the life I wanted to live? Did I live and provide for the people that I could have provided for? Or did I live in constant fear? Those are the kind of words that they say. Who else could I have helped? Who else could I have made a difference to? Or did I spend too much time at work, not caring about other people? So when I talk about health, I'm talking about mind. So this is great that you are here listening to this talk, because you're expanding your mind. This is great health for your mind. Body. As you know, once the body goes, that is it. We don't have anything. And spirit. Spiritual health, whatever that means to you, whether it's through meditation or going through a place of worship, I think this is all very, very important. Now, why I want to bring it all together so you can see how this all works. People say, Mac, do you live like this? Yes, I live like this because there was a time when I wasn't living like this and I wasn't aware, I wasn't conscious, and I was suffering. But since I made a choice to actually live my life by certain principles, things changed. In 2010, when I wrote my book, The Inspired Warrior's Code, how did it come about? People were looking at me and looking at my successes and saying, Mac, can you help me? Mac, how did you do this? So I sat down and I wrote it all into my book, The Inspired Warrior's Code. So there's you, the relationships, the exchange. Your health is important. The beauty of this is, I told you, do all of this in the right environment. And if you are not in the right environment now, look for a group of people, be part of an association, whatever it is, and be in that environment so you can learn and you can grow. Get the support you need. Yeah, so constantly, I'm always thinking, if I want to achieve this result, what support do I need? And then I will go and find the best instructor, the best teacher, the best coach, the best mentor to help me to do that, even now in my current state of life. Universe, I've mentioned that already. Don't forget, we are all connected one way or another. And what I say often is that little thing you do for somebody today will create a ripple effect somewhere else later on. So if you know about what a butterfly effect, do that good deed now, and then the butterfly flaps his wings here in the UK, creates a storm in Hawaii. That's the kind of effect that I think we all can have as human beings on an individual and on a collective basis. The beauty about this is when you decide to work within exchange, where you are not, you're looking at time, the money, the energy that you are exchanging, you'll start living in what I call flow. And flow means that life becomes easy. Many people choose to live their life. If you imagine a river, you've got a choice. You can go downstream with the river and have life easy, or many people inadvertently swim up the river and everyday struggle. It doesn't have to be. You can live in flow. Now, with great relationships, you create wealth. Because if you want, when I say wealth, I'm not talking just about money. I'm talking about lifestyle. I'm talking about the people in your life. So with remember, where does all money come from? The money doesn't come from trees. All money comes from other people. So we have great flow. We have great wealth. And with health, we have abundance. Abundance, because the world is our oyster, as they say. So I'm going to thank you. So these are the 7 universal principles that I live by and I teach other people. I'm going to leave you on these 4 fundamentals to success right now. So once you are clear, so there's 4 fundamentals. So once you are clear on what it is you want, the next biggest challenge you have is, do I have the ability to focus? And if you have the ability to focus on that, because when I say focus, imagine a magnifying glass under the sun, on paper or on a piece of wood. What happens? You create fire. So that intense focus, like a laser beam, will get you the kind of result you want. But many people lack focus. Hence the reason why we need a support system. We need the right environment to keep us focused. And then we take action based on the right focus. Now, the biggest thing of all that where people struggle is, and this last point I'm going to leave you on, is some people have this internally and some people don't have it. And if you don't have it, it's a case of getting it from somewhere else. And I'm talking about discipline. And the martial arts practice gives us discipline. Martial arts practice keeps us focused, intentionally, and by living and cultivating that way of life, we get better results. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to my talk, and I wish you all the best in the future. Thank you very much.